welcome back to the Maker's Vault. My name is Shae Eichley, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host and father, Willie.
Hello, everybody.
And today's episode is going to be all about what the successful shops are doing to stay ahead, to innovate, to retain talent, automate, what types of technology they're doing. And Dad has over 30 years of experience in helping shops do all of those things. So we're going to be talking about that today. But before we get into that, a little housekeeping. We did have our Pigskin Kickoff event.
Success, yeah.
I think it was a record-breaking event for our team. So thank you for everybody that was able to come, and for those who couldn't, be sure to mark your calendars for 2027, right?
Yep, 2027.
And speaking of football, we can't ignore the fact that the Browns are starting.
Here we go, Brownies.
There we go.
Another year. How long will it take before we start saying we've got next year to look forward to?
I think I'm already saying that. Well, okay, so just talk a little football here. So what is your prediction on our record this year?
Every time I'm down about it, they surprise me, and every time I'm up about it, they surprise me.
Yeah.
The opposite direction. But I don't know. I think it'll obviously come down to quarterback play and the consistency in that role, right? I mean, it always does. And so I'm going to say that Flacco's going to go on a little mini run here. Maybe not in the beginning. The schedule's very tough, but
we do have such a hard schedule.
We start out, I forgot who they are, but it's one after another, starting with Cincinnati, then Baltimore.
And then Detroit and then Green Bay.
So, I mean, I'm shooting for 500. I think that's about, I'd be satisfied with that in this year, and then get 1 year closer to getting out from underneath the poor decision of Deshaun Watson. Yeah, so financially.
Do we think by week 8, Flacco will already be hurt, Gabriel will be out, Shador will be out, and we'll have to bring in Deshaun? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I hope we've seen the last of Deshaun. I don't know. I think Shador has some good game. I really do. I wish he didn't bring along the baggage that he does, but his play is what we got to look at. Yeah. I do think he'll get in. I think Gabriel will only last a little bit. I think in a real-time situation, I just don't think he's got enough zip on the ball, and I don't think he's got the size to.
Yeah, no, I agree.
To really make a difference. So
I think it's all going to depend on how long Flacco's getting up there in age.
He's 40, yeah.
For a quarterback, at least, how long can he last for?
Yeah, is he going to last 17 games and not get hurt in the NFL?
Not.
Probably not.
Especially because he can't run. He's not mobile, and these guys now and the lines are huge. And that's when I think we'll see.
When we'll start experimenting. As soon as the playoff pitcher's out, depending on what everybody else is doing, then we have to see what the young guys can do. So I'm anxious.
I think we'll
it's
win
always
9.
A fun time of year.
I think we'll win 9 games.
Wow.
I think we'll win 9. My husband's Connor is very optimistic about the Browns season. He thinks we're going to steamroll, is his word, steamroll. The Bengals, the Lions, everybody else. So we'll see.
You got to start recording what he says so that you can play
I write
it
it
back.
Down. I write it down. And then I repeat it back to him, and I tell him that I'm not listening to his predictions anymore.
He says, I never said that then.
Exactly.
I know how it goes. Okay. All right.
All right. Leave your predictions about the Browns season and maybe who the Super Bowl, you think the Super Bowl is going to be this year. I know it's early, but it's always fun to talk about.
Redskins?
I could see that.
I say Redskins.
Okay. I'm going to say Houston.
Others might say Commanders, but Redskins I think are going to.
I like that quarterback a lot.
I like the whole team a lot, and the coach and everything else about it. So,
I would say Houston or the Bills, but I can't even get into it about the Bills right now. That's a whole other thing. All right, on to manufacturing.
Yes.
More important things. All right, so let's start with, we're talking again today about what shops are doing, what the most successful shops are doing, what you have seen shops do. We're going to talk about 3 main points today. So from a technology and process standpoint, from an automation standpoint, and from a retaining people standpoint.
Yep.
So why don't we start with the technology and process first? What are the good shops doing in terms of investing in technology, how they're viewing different technology, what are they doing to research different technology?
Yeah, I think taking one step back, just looking at it from 30,000 feet, and this has always stuck in my mind. A very good customer, and turned out to be a good friend over my career, told me early on that they sell time. I remember him telling me that. You got to understand, all we do is sell time as a machine shop. And this was a medium plus high volume shop. They did a lot of everything. And that always resonated with me. It always stuck. And I see that the successful shops kind of think that way. And what do I mean by that? Or what did he mean by that? He means like, if you're going to buy a single spindle lathe with y-axis and milling, for example, for a job, because that's the type of machine you had before that, and you're just going to buy another one to do that, that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is, why would you not buy a second spindle lathe? If you're going to make an investment where you can make the part as fast as you can and create that much more open capacity to go sell and fill, right? I mean,
the time left on the machine.
The time left on the machine. So you're either looking at investments. I mean, I don't want to say the shops that we're talking about, the super advanced shops. I know that's the way they think. Yeah. We need to make the part as quickly as we can make it so that we could create more open time to put other jobs through it faster as well. There's 80% available probably on a machine, 85% available utilization-wise over the course of the year. I mean, I think the good ones are looking at that. I think they got to fill it, right? So sometimes the Otis does shift to their sales department. The Otis does shift. Some people are afraid of that premise, but because they don't want to just buy a fast machine and then, oh my gosh, it's not. You're not using it. It's not running. It's only running 20% of the time. Well, that's kind of the customer's fault or a poor vision. I think. I mean, they should be filling that up. Fill up the time, make more money.
So what would you say to a shop that would say, all right, well, the part that I'm making, I'm buying this standard 2-axis lathe and I don't need the backside work. I don't need a second spindle. And they're a smaller shop, but they need to be thinking more long term.
But if you're going to make a capital investment of whatever it's going to be, $100,000. Why not spend $150 or $60? Because as a job shop, that's what job shops struggle with every day. What's going to cross my desk tomorrow? And if you pigeonhole yourself into something where, this part does have back working. Now I'm going to run 200 parts and then manually flip them over and put them back into a second op to finish them. Yeah. Now you're only making X amount of money for that part. Right. And now you're consuming too much of the overall utilization that's available to one job that's probably not making you a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So,
you know what I mean? So
in like very simple terms, let's say you're running an 8-hour shift. You could, by investing in a higher tech machine or a faster machine, in this case we're talking about lathes, so a second spindle machine, you can make one job, you can have one job done, let's say in 2 hours versus it taking 4 hours. So then now you have the remaining 6 hours of the day to backfill that machine with other jobs. And that's when your sales department has to go out and find jobs to go on that
fill that job, find complementary work. Not that that's easy, but I don't. One thing I see in our industry, and I'm not quite sure why, because some I can't even complain about because they're so doggone good at it and they got such a reputation. They don't have a sales department. They have some agents out there. They have some agents that they bring jobs. They'll give them a commission, but they rely on their web. I mean, talk about like a screw machine shop. Yeah. People look up screw machine shop online, bang, and they get all their leads just like come to them.
Interesting.
So it does work to some degree, but I'm a fan of going out there and getting it. I think that's how you can probably assemble the right amount of jobs to make a high level machine fully utilized.
To make it work,
is if you're out there trying to, because you know exactly what you need.
When we're talking about what the good shops are doing, if that's what the good shops are doing, that's what the good shops have the sales people that are going out and doing it. Now, to add on to that, asking the question, does investing in the right technology help you win jobs too?
Of course it does. Yeah, because it helps you be more cost competitive. To your example before, I mean, if you have a job that's running on a 2-axis, a single spindle lathe with y-axis and milling, just to stay with that point, and now all of a sudden the customer gets a job at a part that's got double-sided work. Now he's got to flip it over, be less efficient, add operations. How is he going to be competitive?
Yeah, cost-wise, he's going to
with the other shop that the customer is looking at that's dropping it off complete. Bar feeder, parts catcher, rotor. Maybe we'll talk about that stuff later. But how are they going to compete? They're not going to get that piece price.
I get what you mean.
So yes, investing in the right technology is key. But you got to look. My advice would be look past just what you're doing.
It's almost like always looking into the future, predicting what's next for your business. If these are the current jobs that you have, but should you be buying equipment? If what you're saying is the good shops are not buying equipment for what they have, they're buying equipment for what they have, but also for where they want to go.
Where they want to go, yeah. They're like Wayne Gretzky says, they're going where the puck is. They're focused on where the puck is going, not right, right here and now. I know it's not easy. I mean, it's certainly not.
Certainly easier said than done. Sure.
It's easier said than done, but it is important, and it is what the top tier shops, in my opinion, that's one of their differentiators is that vision.
And you have seen, and we'll get into like some more in-depth examples later, but I'm sure you have seen over the years shops who have adopted this type of thinking, whether starting small and growing to larger shops by adopting this type of thinking and looking forward and investing, and not just investing in the right now and squeezing pennies. It's worked for them.
It absolutely has, yeah.
Yeah.
And it also helps resolve or lessen the blow of labor issues and other problems that everybody's struggling with today. That the right technology not only allows you to go get the right job, but allows you to do more with less people, and it then ties into automation and everything else. So it's like a spiral effect.
Yeah, well, and then,
Really important.
You mentioned automation, and that's our second point, so I might as well just roll right into that one. So, with automation, I think a lot, obviously we love marketing, right? But, there's so many buzzwords around automations. It's more accurate, it's more efficient, it's more... Before we get into the types of automation, what are people really talking about when they're saying to a shop, you can be more efficient, you could be fast, you could be this, you could lower your cost per part. Why are they able to do that through automation? Why does automation cause those things to improve?
Well, you're eliminating handlings of the part. Anytime you handle a part, no matter what you're doing by hand, you're not improving its tolerances. It's working against you. And of course, the automation isn't just what everybody thinks either.
It's not just robots.
Yeah, people like to always talk about the robots, and we love robots here, right? We're a big FANUC integrator for sure. But simple automation too, it also achieves these same advantages for the customer that you're talking about, and that could be a bar feeder. You'd be surprised how many people will just have 3-foot bars in a spindle liner and machining parts when they're competing with somebody that's got a 12-foot automatic magazine bar feeder, and they've got a parts catcher, and they've got a rotor rack accumulation table, and they don't have anybody near the machine.
And that's just
simple automation. It doesn't cost a lot of money to put a bar feeder on and then add a parts catcher to your system, or like a Royal roto rack system on the unloading side.
And like you said, you're handling it less. You're
handling
not
it
putting
less.
Parts in and out, so you're not stopping the machine. The spindle's always running.
That's why your efficiency's
And that's
higher,
why
and
your
all the
efficiency's
things you
higher.
just said. The quality is better, the efficiency's higher. That's what all kinds of automation brings to the table. Automation can also be, I was just said Royal, so I'll plug them with their multitasking chuck.
Yeah.
I mean, one customer's disassembling and taking off the whole 3-jaw chuck system to put in a mandrel system, taking a long time to do that.
Right. That's
with the
minutes,
multitasking
15,
chuck. Yes, it costs more, but again, if you're going to get more utilization out of your machine tool, you're going to invoice more of your customers for parts that you're selling. You're going to make more money.
When it all goes back to time, what you said. If you're selling time, the faster you can go from job to job.
It all goes back to what
back to
Russ,
time.
and I won't say his last name, but it all
Wink,
goes back
wink.
to what Russ had told me early on, and it's true. Everything is to time.
So with kind of going back to the theme of today's episode of just what are shops doing, what are successful shops doing with automation? They're not behind the curve, that's for sure. They're not talking about automation and not doing it. They already have automation in their shop, right?
Oh yeah, the progressive shops.
Yeah.
They've started adopting automation, a decade and a half ago, and it's then I see them continue to get nicer, longer, heavier running jobs because of their reputation and because of their piece price, because they're not handling it a lot of times. Their quality is there because they're not handling it a bunch of times. It all kind of feeds into itself.
What types of automation are you seeing the most out there right now in the
Well, I mean,
highly efficient shops?
robotic automation, cobots, simple, out of the box
More
automation
cobots
systems
versus industrials?
Yeah, Yeah, more cobots than industrials. Of course, we use an industrial on our out-of-the-box solution, on one of our out-of-box solutions, which is with Agile Robotics drawer system. But then we also have the CRX, the FANUC cobot combo as well with a base and either trays or drawers or however you're bringing the parts in and out. But out-of-the-box systems, we're not the only ones that have them. They're getting less and less and less and less expensive. They're getting easier and easier and easier to deploy as the customer. So you don't need a big integrator and the costs of an integrator to do this. This is very easy. You can buy a machine tool with an auto door and the interface, and you can almost plug and play one of these standard load and unload systems. So to have somebody sitting there watching coolant splash against the window until the part is done and then manually opening up the door, this gets back to what we've already discussed, right?
Yeah.
As soon as that spindle stops, you're not making money anymore. So now you're opening it up, and now you're grabbing the part, and you're unloading the part, and if you don't have a parts catcher or bar feed or any of that stuff, we're talking about loading blanks right now with a robot. You're just losing time. You're losing time, and you're losing the overall efficiency.
How do you? A lot of these more advanced shops, they are looking ahead into the future, like we're talking about, and they're investing in automation, and they're not afraid to do it. I think at the beginning of the automation trend, if you will, a lot of shops were afraid because there wasn't a lot of data, there wasn't a lot of customer success stories out there about implementing automation. But now we're in a time where it's a mainstream thing. What would you say to those shops that are watching this episode going, well, I'm not an advanced shop yet, I'm still afraid to get into automation?
Well, it depends what level of automation. If you're a turning shop and you have lathes, then buy a 6-foot loader. Make sure you buy your next machine with a bar feed interface and a parts catcher, and start dropping off parts complete without opening up the door.
Start simple.
Start simple. If you're loading blanks, do not be fearful of these out-of-the-box automation systems. They work. They work really well. And they're deployable on this machine, and they can be moved to this grinder and be moved to this machine. So it's not like you're tied in. The fear factor, especially going back to these shops, you just said it. They don't have that fear anymore. They're just doing it.
They just do it.
They're just doing it because they know it works.
Yeah.
But the shops that want to get there, or the shops that are just starting, boy, that's what I would do. I wouldn't even. I mean, if you're going to buy a horizontal machining center, make sure you have a pallet changer. If you're going to buy a vertical machining center, even if it's a third-party add-on pallet changer,
right?
Put one on there. Get more spindle uptime. You got to have more spindle uptime, and you got to be thinking every time it's not spitting out chips, you're losing that overall 80-85% utilization that you could get out of that machine. It's all about spindle time.
All about spindle time. And kind of the last thing on automation is, I think, obviously the bigger shops, the ones that we're talking about that are investing in all this technology, they have the funds to do these things. Yeah. Some of the other shops, they're a little bit more restricted on funds, and I think that's where adding, like you said, a rotor rack, a bar feeder, something like that, starting small, parts catcher can start getting you into automation.
Sure.
But also, I think sometimes people dance around the question of the price. And when I sit in our meetings on Tuesday mornings and I see the price of these cells, I'm thinking, I mean, what you're going to spend in that is what is going to cost you to have an employee run it for 1 year or 2 years of your employee's salary, but you can have this robot running for 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, that gets
me.
It's scary if you're writing the check and the funds are restricted. It is kind of, I'm sure, nerve-wracking for sure. For sure. But it is, again, it's how you're going to grow the business. It's how everybody the path has already been cleared, right? This is what all the other shops. That's what we're talking about today. It's what they're doing. So you kind of got to just nibble your way in and start getting on that track. Because I don't know really what the future would be for somebody that's sitting idle or going backwards on the technology or the automation side.
Maybe
there's always space for a small multi-purpose shop to fix things for people that walk in the door and they want this to be milled or this to be turned. That's one thing, but for a production shop not to be at least investigating this and starting your journey in automation one way or the other, I don't know where they'll be in 10 years.
Yeah, that would be interesting to go
back. That'll be your
and
problem, but.
Oh, come on. You'll still be here in 10 years.
That's true. I'll be here in 30 years.
You said you'd be in 50 years. You'll be walking upstairs with a cane, banging on my door, telling me I'm not doing something. That's funny. But so now kind of segueing into the last point, which would be people, personality. I mean, you hear it every day. we can't get people in the shop. We can't do this. We can't
Every
do
day.
that.
Every day.
I know there are some shops around here that we've talked about that do these more advanced shops or ones that
Yep.
are growing, interested in growing.
Yep.
They are starting to deploy different programs for internal stuff and internships and things like that. But from a technology standpoint, how does technology and modernizing your company help attract these young people? I mean, have you seen it? That's what these shops are doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, no, I mean, sure. If you're, I don't want to pick on anybody, but if you're a 7, 8, 9, 10 rated, machine operator or setup person, and you're going to apply here, and this guy has some 3rd or 4th tier Taiwanese built or some other third world country built lathe, you're probably not going to take the job versus going to a shop that's got a premier brand. Mm-hmm. We're fortunate enough to have the Mazak brand, so I mean, there's others that are in that same category. That's where those guys are going to go. So it's another side benefit, right, of getting the right type of equipment and not try to buy the cheapest thing on the market, but try to buy something that is more technology, is going to attract better people.
Especially the younger people, because we are much more technologically advanced.
And then add that automation component to the piece, and then that really higher skilled guy, that above average guy, can now do things with 4 machines, not 1 machine. All gets back to what we started this conversation. It's just getting more utilization with less labor.
Another thing, too, that I want to add, just because I know a lot of my friends talk about this in terms of like getting hired and where they're looking at and stuff, is like if I walk into a shop and it looks like they're from the 1600s and like you said, they don't have these more higher end or more advanced machines, what a young person is seeing is, man, this economy, I'm struggling to cover my bills. I'm struggling to pay for my own gas and live somewhere. I need to find a company that's stable. Yep. That's going to give me a raise. If I'm walking into somewhere and like my perception,
is sitting still or going backwards.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not going to take
I'm not going to take a job with somebody that I'm going to plug Allied Machine and Engineering here. They have an awesome facility. If I walked into Allied Machine and Engineering as a engineering student coming out or a machinist coming out of a tech program or a marketing person, I want to walk in there and go, yeah, I mean, this company, I don't know a lot about them yet, but I could tell you by the way that their people talk, the way that they dress, the way they're excited about their company, the technology that I'm seeing with my own eyes, the way that their floor is built out and all their stuff. These people are going to be around for a while. Same thing when you walk into our buildings. That's a whole other
episode, but culture. I mean, speaking of them, that's technology, automation, high skilled people, and culture.
Yeah.
That's a home run. That's a home run. That's a home run.
Even when you walk into our facility, I mean, if I wasn't a part of the family and I walked into here, we have a nice lobby, we have a big group of engineers, it's a great plant. I mean, all the offices are really nice. Yeah. Immediately I'm thinking, as a young person, I need stability. This is where I'm finding stability. I'm not finding stability down the road with a guy that I'm opening up my garage door and there's nothing in there. The problem is all you young
people think you're worth twice as much as you are when you start.
Hold on. The problem though is that it's costing us $100,000 to get what we want.
Okay, this could be the next episode.
Yeah, where it used to cost you guys nothing.
Nothing. Okay. All right. Next.
Well, that's the end.
That's the end?
That's the end of today's episode. Yeah, maybe us young people ask for a lot, but we got a lot. It's a lot. The ratio is different
it's kind
nowadays,
of our fault
Dad.
because we brought you up feeling like you need to have everything. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, is that it?
Yeah, that's all we got. You got anything else to add for today's episode?
I don't. Just if you're in our area or our region, reach out to us. We can help you in any of these areas. Be happy to do that. That's our role in this. So yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yep. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel to continue to support this content, and we'll see you in the next Makersvault episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.